This show is brought to you by listeners and viewers like you. EvanX.com Tesla accessories, our TeslaOwnersOnline.com community, and our Patreon supporters at patreon.com/TeslaOwnersOnline. Well, hello everyone, and welcome again to another episode of the Tesla Owners Online podcast. I'm your host, Trevor Page. Tonight is a very special night, and if those of you who are watching on the YouTube channel, well, you'll see a little bit larger cadre of people that we normally have. We have Eric and Ian joining us, and I also have my friends Kenneth, Bokor, and Ryan McCaffrey also joining us tonight. Tonight is, as I said, very special because for two reasons. One of them is this is our 100th episode, so I thought I would bring in a few more people to talk about that. But more importantly, and I think this is the big one, today happens to be the 5th anniversary of the Model 3 reveal. So, of course, Twitter's been alive and talking about that. So I thought I would get everybody's opinion as to what happened that night and, in the subsequent 5 years since the car has been released. So, that's what we're going to do tonight. We will get to viewer, listener, and questions next time because, with this many people on, we just don't have time to handle all that stuff. I should also mention that Ryan does have a hard-out time, so he will be on the podcast as long as he can be. So we're super appreciative of him and his busy time for him to join us again. I brought Ryan on because he, unlike the rest of us, was not at the Model 3 reveal event, so I want his impressions of that. And Ken, of course, is joining us because, when I started this whole Model 3 business, Ken and I had done a show called Model 3 Owners Club Show, and, of course, we spent the better part of 2 years anticipating the Model 3, so it was kind of fun to go back in time and talk about that. So, again, thank you everybody for joining us. So let's get into it. So, as I said, today was the 5th anniversary of the Model 3 reveal event, which was on March 31st, 2016. And let's start with you, Ryan, because you were there that night. You were very fortunate to get an invite. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how the event came about? Like, how did you get an invite? How did it come about? What was the event like? And then we'll kind of go from there.
Well, I'll tell you, I had a hell of a 24-hour run with that. That was a very, very memorable moment in my Tesla life because, we were all expecting the Model 3 unveiling. We just didn't know when. Tesla tends to give pretty short notice for these things when they do announce them. And I was actually on a family trip in Hawaii, a pre-arranged family trip.
I remember that.
And I was supposed to be there for another few days. I think it was towards the end of the trip, but not like the last day. It might have been the second to last, something like that. It was towards the end. And so I had a decision like, okay, at one point I thought, because actually I wasn't even really thinking about the event. My focus was on getting my reservation because that was, this was the car I'd been waiting for. I'd started the podcast at that point, a little less than a year before, but I'd been dreaming about the cheaper Tesla for years before that. So it's like I had to get my reservation. So at one point, and I know this is like the most first world thing of all time. Let me stop and pause and recognize the privilege at work here. But I was fortunate enough to be in Hawaii with my extended family. And so my first thought was, okay, well, I could just island hop to the Tesla store in Honolulu, line up there, get my reservation, and go back and rejoin the family. And then I actually don't remember. I guess I had a media badge because I actually was just digging through. I posted some pictures up on Twitter and Instagram today. I had a media badge, so I guess it must have just been that since at the time there was a Tesla PR department, they knew of me from the podcast because that was my second Tesla event. My first Tesla event was the Model X launch in September of 2015.
That was a crazy party.
It was so packed. And it started very late. I think they learned some lessons from that one. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I think I already had a little bit of an in at that point with the PR team. And so I was fortunate to get the invite. So then it was decision time. Like I knew this was just like a once in a lifetime kind of moment. I mean, a lot of people out there would go, you're silly to leave a family trip in Hawaii. And, for me, it's, I can go back to Hawaii if I am so fortunate, but I wouldn't get another chance to go see this car that I'd been already excited for and waiting for a long time in person as it rolled out on stage to the world for the first time. So I flew home early. And my intention was to try and get a bit of sleep, get up like in the middle of the night, and go to a local Tesla store. We're fortunate to have many here in the San Francisco area, and camp out for the rest of the night, and try to be towards the front of the line and get a reservation right away. Couldn't really sleep, so at about 12:30, I went down to what ultimately was one of the Tesla stores in Palo Alto, and I was the 14th person in line. The people in the first group of people had already started a clipboard with a sign in so that if you needed to step away to use a facility or go get something, it was very orderly and organized and polite and respectful, and had a great time talking to those people. I did eventually get to sleep. I brought a sleeping bag. Thankfully, we have very, very moderate weather here in the Bay Area. Particularly Palo Alto is just particularly gorgeous, and it was March 31st, so it was spring, and just had a great time getting to know those people. And then about, I think, 10:04 a.m., I believe, once the doors opened, I got a reservation, went back to my house, packed my bag, and went to the airport and flew to LA. Again, fortunate geography was on my side. It's just a quick 50-minute hop from San Francisco to LA, and then went over to the event that night, very tired but very energized. And that was such a fun night. I was pretty close to the stage, not right up front, but just off to the left, and just got to watch as Elon introduced this thing I'd been waiting for. And again, I'd put down $1,000 on a car I had never seen to that point. And so I was like, I hope I like it. And then when it rolled out on stage, I was like, okay, I like it. It's definitely nice. And then getting to ride they were giving rides in two cars, the silver Alpha prototype and the matte black Alpha prototype. I was in the silver one with the white interior, and it was just surreal to be in it. And it was just a whirlwind day for me that I'll never forget in my Tesla life, and had so much fun. And the thing is, I waited 2 years and 4 months for my car. And anytime it comes up, which it doesn't really anymore because nobody thinks about, there's no waiting list like there used to be. But if it ever comes up, I always tell people, it's a lot of things in life, in my opinion, that you wait that long for, the thing doesn't live up to the anticipation when you've been waiting that long. But that car absolutely lives up to it. I love that thing, and it was worth the wait.
Well, especially for you, because you were waiting for the performance car, because obviously the Model 3, when it first came out, was long range only. Yeah. And I was in the same boat. I was ready to buy a Model 3 as soon as it came out, but I was like, I really wanted the performance car. So I had to wait extra long. I mean, you waited until, what was it? It was July of 2018 you got yours, right?
I was very fortunate. I had an early reservation, but then I had a friend of mine who, an engineer at Tesla at the time, he had made 2 employee reservations for himself, which are given utmost priority. He gave me one of those that he wasn't going to use it ultimately, and so I was one of the actual first performance deliveries, not literally the first, but July 30th of 2018 was my big day.
I remember Ian and I called you.
That's right. I remember that. Yeah.
We're standing in the street in St. Andrew. We were talking to you.
That's right. It was cool. We were having dinner. I said, let's call Ryan. I mean, he's probably getting his car right about now. That was fun times. The other thing that I remember from your test ride, and I don't think it was you that videoed it. Somebody else did, but I recognized the voice.
I videoed my whole ride, and I used it in the podcast, and
Okay, so the one thing I remember is that you rode with Doug Field.
Yes, he was driving the silver Alpha prototype. I'm not sure who was driving the matte black one.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, Doug Field was the chief engineer on the Model 3 project at the time. And I remember you, Ryan, you had asked him specifically about what was overhead. So what were your questions?
And also, I asked what configuration that prototype was. It was a dual motor prototype, which again, wouldn't come to be made in production until July of 2018. But he said they would do basically the same options as the Model S at the time, which was panoramic roof, fixed glass roof, or metal roof. And ultimately we only got one of those, which is fine.
I agree with you on that. I think in a lot of cases it was probably just a matter of overcomplication. Maybe, plans obviously changed at that point. So I'm very glad. I mean, in a lot of ways, what we got with the Model 3 was exactly what they showed. Minor, some minor differences, with the cup holders and the door handles. But by and large, we got exactly what they showed, which is awesome. Which, Model Y is exactly the same thing. When they brought out the Model Y, we got exactly what they showed. So I think in a lot of ways, any future cars we get, hopefully, barring some minor changes and stuff, it bodes well for the future.
I mean, that's always been the beauty part about Tesla, right? And Elon has made a public point about this on multiple occasions, is they don't show concept cars that are super awesome, and then the thing you actually buy is a crappier, nerfed version of it. Like, they will deliver what they show you.
Yeah.
I remember in the case of the 3, I fell in love with what we now know as the sport wheels on that silver Alpha prototype right away. I was like, those are gorgeous wheels. I want those. And on the prototypes, they were 20-inch wheels. And when Model 3 went into production, they did make those wheels, but only a 19-inch version. So, and to me, it didn't look quite right. I'd had this first impression with the prototype, and to me, it just fit the car perfectly. And I remember wondering and just hoping, I hope they make them in a 20. And thankfully, they ultimately did. So again, they did deliver on all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I think what was the red non-drivable prototype had the Uber turbine wheels, and of course those were shelved for like the longest time, and eventually
until the Model Y.
Till the Model Y, and now of course you can get. I mean, the performance Model 3s now come with it too. So obviously, I mean, whatever they kind of show does make it. It just may not be on day one. So.
Almost. The only thing that disappointed me is both those cars had staggered setups. You can actually see that if you watch the reveal video. You notice the rear tires, and we were able to confirm it later with specs. And they even put them in the owner's manual. I don't know if you guys remember, but the very first edition of the owner's manual that dropped online showed an optional rear stagger, and it vanished without a trace. And then strangely, a bunch of them showed up on eBay with no explanation. It was some weird dude from a shady garage that was flagging them on eBay.
I almost bought a set. Because it was in Oakland, which is just over the bridge here, and I was like, I don't know if Tesla's going to actually make these. Maybe I should buy these to put them on my car, and thankfully I didn't. It worked out.
No, but you have the 0Gs now, right? Those are nice.
Yeah, which I'm extremely happy with.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I love those things. Any other observations from that night that you could share that maybe you hadn't thought about in a while?
When I was looking through my pictures this morning, one little detail about the car. I mean, everybody knows the paint job on that silver Alpha prototype particularly was an incredible. I don't know a lot about paint job and like how many stages and all that stuff, but it was like when the actual Model 3 came out, the silver that Tesla offered at the time on all then 3 of the cars, it just looked awful in comparison. And I remember thinking, like, seeing silver Model 3s and just thinking they looked bad because I'd had this picture of the silver Alpha prototype with its job on it. But I've kind of come around on it since, because it's been gone for so long. We're a silver one around town now, which, again, San Francisco area, many Teslas. I do see silver ones, and I'm like, you know what? It looks good. It's like, it's a good looking color.
It's a shame they killed the color, because I know a lot of people would like to see it come back.
Yeah, I'm with you. But so there's that, and then the couple of the details. I really do prefer, not in like a drastic way. I mean, the car that we got looks beautiful, but they softened the nose on the Model 3 for production a little bit. If you look at pictures of that silver Alpha prototype, it really like comes to a point. And I think it's more aggressive looking and really looks good. I'm a big fan of that. That didn't make it to production. But yeah, the one other thing that I totally forgot about until looking at my pictures this morning, I had a picture of one of the wheels, like Ian was just talking about, and the sport wheel that I had fallen in love with instantly. And the center hub, the black center hub, was on that prototype. They were carbon fiber, which I'd completely forgotten about, because of course, Tesla, again, they did ultimately sell those as a kit on the store if you wanted to put those on, and they were really pricey at first, like $300, and I think nobody bought them. And fairly recently, they cut the price on those I don't know exactly off the top of my head what they are now, but I know they're much more reasonable. So again, they ultimately came through on all that stuff.
Do you guys remember how much consternation there was on the internet about the single screen and the nose, how controversial it was? I mean, we take it for granted now because it's normal, and we everybody was like, "Oh, center screen," and I'm like, okay, we're so used to it now that it just seems silly in hindsight, right? So I think
all
a lot
the
of
memes
ways,
with Keanu Reeves, with no mouth, and like the whole everybody just went with.
that was pretty funny days. Ian, you want to chime in on Ryan's observation about the silver, because you seem to have a little bit of knowledge about the paint, what you think it was.
Yeah, I right out of the gate, I was kind of surprised that they would I'm not surprised they put it on an alpha, but I didn't really expect that would go into production. I was hopeful because it's like everybody else. I was stunned. It's like, oh my God, it looks like so from the future. It's incredible. It's the perfect color for it. And our esteemed guest here who had a stainless steel car must have been thinking, oh, it's the perfect continuation of my whole, automotive continuum here. But the problem with that finish, it's called hyper silver. That's what we refer to it in the wheel industry. And it's like you use a black base coat with like a translucent, highly reflective, almost like an aluminum foil colored top coat. That's, as I said, it's very slightly translucent. So some of the black comes through and it really gives this contrast. Wherever you have like an edge or a corner, it just pops. The problem with it is it's horrifically difficult to control in production. Like when we do, like our QC manager wants to have me like taken out, hung, shot, drawn, quartered every time I propose we use the color on a new wheel, because it's impossible to get a batch of 100 of them to match. Out of 100 wheels, we sometimes have 4 batches that we have to line up. It's like the A wheel, the B wheel, the C wheel, so that at least 4 of them look the same. That's how hard it is. So imagine trying to get every panel on the car. Like look at the difficulties they have with the pearl white. This stuff, I'm telling you, is just, that's why nobody does it. I mean, as a one-off in a custom shop, no problem. But as a production line item, it's brutal.
Now, Ryan, you were saying something about you thought, or you had talked to somebody, or it was something like a $10,000 paint job on that thing.
I mean, that was, I don't know where that came from, honestly. Like I just, I know it would probably be a very expensive custom one-off to Ian's point.
Yeah. Well, I think there's hope for us. I mean, if Mazda can do a really, really nice red, a stock red on their cars, I think there's hope for at least that red maybe on the Roadster, or a variant of the red in future cars. I mean, Tesla's going to change their colors up eventually. So anyways, I think there's hope. Maybe on a lower volume car they can get away with it. I don't know. We'll see.
But I mean, to put a button on the point about Tesla delivering on what the prototype is, I remember like I had a wish list for what I was hoping my Model 3 would have. And because again, we didn't know, we were drip fed information through Elon's Twitter for 2 years, or at least, a year, I guess, until it really did, a year and plus until the first batch shipped for employees and we started to really learn more. But, I wanted performance. I wanted red brake calipers, aluminum pedals. I wanted white interior, which was the first run of Model 3s were black interior only. And those 20-inch stiletto wheels, and air suspension.
Yeah, that's
I got
one thing.
Everything I wanted in my Model 3 except that air suspension. That's the only thing I didn't get. So it's like, and the car I have is, I love it every single time I take it out. Like it sounds hokey and trite, but it's like, I really do. Like every time I get in that car and smash that pedal, if I need a picker upper, it puts an involuntary smile on my face, Trevor, as I know you can relate to.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because literally the air suspension is the one thing that they said that they were going to do that hasn't come. I mean, I know some people will say, oh, the trailer hitch didn't happen. Well, it did happen in Europe. But not North America, although you can add one on third party anyways, like I do. I'm very glad with the way that things turned out. I think I want to turn it over to Ian because he also has an interesting first day reservation story. So Ian, why don't you take it away? Tell us about your experience in Montreal.
The birth of the Evolveware, as it were, how it became a thing. Yeah, that was just kind of odd. At the time, of course, our beloved Tesla Owners Online Forum didn't exist. So I was a member at TMC, and we were just kind of joking around with ideas. It's like everybody was, those days and months leading up to the reveal were some of the most fun I've ever had in the Tesla community, because the Model 3 group at that point was relatively small. We were a bunch of geeks, and we were kind of like a little bit isolated from, the S and the X, the royalty of the Tesla family. So we were this little gang just, with full of conspiracy theories and nothing else to do. So we'd kick ideas around, and then coming up into the weeks before the event, it was like, well, we're going to line up, and we might even actually get a lawn chair and stay outside. Most of the people down in the southern U.S. states, whatever, was like, yeah, we'll probably go out the night before, and we'll just stand around, or we'll sit. And here I was up in Montreal, and at the time it was still bloody freezing cold, and I'm like, maybe I ought to camp out. So I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to camp out. Obviously, it's so cold up here. I'm going to have to bring a tent, and a sleeping bag, whatever, so I don't die of hypothermia. And then somebody else came on and started trolling me. It's like, well, if you go out one night, I'm going to get there 2 nights before, then it's 3 nights. And it was like on and on and on this went. And I was like, well, no, I'm not going to go 3 nights. But you know what? Screw it. I'll man up. I'll do 2 nights. And nobody else wanted to do it. So I'm like, I don't care. I have no pride. Meanwhile, Bridge is like, you're going to do what? You're going to go like sleep in an industrial park? Like, are you serious? Are you out of your mind? And they're, yeah, what the hell? Life is short, right? She's thinking, yeah, you're going to make it shorter. So yeah, I decided if I'm going to do it, well, let's have a little fun with it. So I ordered a cheap red tent online from Walmart for $99. And I don't know where the idea came from, but it was like, we should just have some fun with it, like just do a little concept theme. So just kicking around an idea, I said, let's do like a little evolution, kind of like, to me, what my personal story was from going from the caveman, through the gasoline car stage up to the next level, which was the electric car. To me, this was the miracle. It was, that they could take cavemen like me and convert me to the future. So I figured, let's do a little theme with that, and we'll sticker up the tent. And thank God, it was easy, because at work we have a full, marketing graphics department that has like the 2D plotter, and they cut all the vinyl for me in their spare time, whatever. Like, the guys were super nice. So they made up all these decals for me. So I went home, took a bunch of spray glue one night, in the basement. Here we go. Bridge comes downstairs. You're nuts. You're out of your mind. What the hell? Didn't get it. Anyway, so off I went, and I was just doing this for entertainment. I figured if nothing else, the guys on the forum would get a laugh out of it. So I plunked it down, and sure enough, I was the first guy there. I arrived at 4 p.m. I think it was a Thursday, right? Was the reveal night. So I think it was 2 p.m. 4 p.m. on a Tuesday night. I show up there at Tesla Montreal, and you can see my black A4 at the time. I stake my spot, bang, drill the tent into the ground on my little piece of grass, which is, by the way, like on a 30-degree angle. You don't really appreciate it there, but this was real fun to balance all of my stuff inside. I had a 12-volt battery, like for all my electronics and everything. I had water and a cooler with food, the whole enchilada in there. So I set up camp, and then I go and put my chair in line, and they had like the little bank teller cords, going away from the front door. So like I lock my chair in front there, and that's it. I'm officially the first person. So everybody comes out from the store, and they're like, wow. Says, dude, you do know it's like 2 days from now, right? I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm like, okay, we got a live one here, So I set up camp, and then some of the people I was chatting with on TMC, this couple, Chris and Bianca, who I'd never met, said, you know what, maybe we'll join you. And sure to their word, about an hour later, Chris and Bianca show up, and they set up their tent just across the ways. So at least I had a couple of friends, and I felt a little safer. And the next thing you know, it was a party. And by the next day, more and more people started to show up. By the following night, we had about 25, 30 people at Montreal who came to stay. Some of them actually slept in their lawn chairs, like with big parkas and outdoor gear on, and sleeping bags and so on. And then finally, by about 4 a.m. on Thursday morning, they started busing people in from like Trois-Rivières, from Quebec City. Wow. The crowd unloaded. Oh yeah. I remember waking up at around 4:30, and I had earplugs in, and I could hear like the crowd. It was a party outside. Like, I think a few of them had a few bevies, perhaps, of the alcoholic nature, and they're just having a great time. And I wake up, I crawl out of the tent all cross-eyed, at 5 a.m. because I've been sleeping in the tent for 2 nights. And oh yeah, by the way, I should mention, I had borrowed a sleeping bag from one of Bridget's daughters, who's a big camping enthusiast. She says, I'll hook you up with the right bag. Anyway, throws me one of her sleeping bags. I get down there. was only at about 3 a.m. on the first night I realized this was her summer sleeping bag, which had like an R factor of 1. I had no feeling below my hips about 3 hours into the night. It was like -5, howling wind. Like I thought I was going to die. So I thankfully, on a technicality, they let me run over to the local Canadian Tire. I picked up a true Arctic sleeping bag. So the next night I was okay. But yeah, by the next morning, you can see in this picture, the crowd had, we had a good 200 people at that point lined up down the street. And by the time I'd gotten in the door, when I'd finally made my reservation at 9 a.m. and walked back out, they were lined up all the way down the road to the Décarie Expressway. I mean, at one point, the local papers were reporting there was about 700 people in line. It was just nuts. We were doing counts, right? All the cities were reporting in. I was doing the line counts every 30 minutes. And I mean, at one point we had, I think, the second longest line in the world.
Wow.
That was nuts. It was just crazy.
You have to remember, like Montreal was the only place in Quebec you could order a Tesla. It was the only place. So obviously people came from like everywhere.
Very much so. Yeah, there was a huge showing. I mean, I think the French newspaper La Presse caught it back. They called it the automotive Woodstock in Montreal that year. That's what it was, and it truly was. It was just incredible.
Even in Palo Alto, the heart of Tesla territory, and there were even at the time there were a good half dozen stores, Tesla stores within an easy drive. By the time the store opened with us too, it went hundreds deep. Maybe not quite 700 deep, but yeah, I mean, California is very friendly to Teslas, and it was a sight to see. It reaffirmed the decision to just go over at 12:30 a.m. and wait rather than try to be somebody that shows up at 10 a.m. and then have to wait in a 400 person long line.
Yeah, Toronto was just as bad too, because at the time we had 2 locations. So we had Lawrence, which was also the service center, as well as Yorkdale Mall. I went to the Lawrence location. It was one of those nights, it's just like you're 7 or 8 years old and you're just hoping on Christmas morning you were going to get your Star Wars toys. And I couldn't sleep. So I got up at about, I think I slept maybe until about 1:30 in the morning. And I said, you know what the hell? I can't sleep. I might as well go down. So I got in my car, went to the local McDonald's and ordered one of those large boxes of coffee because I figured, there might be some people there. I might bring some coffee. Well, I showed up and I was about the 12th in line or something like that. And by the time Tesla had opened the doors, I'd forgotten all about the coffee in the car. And of course, they were serving coffee at that point. So anyways, it was good times. So anything else, Ian? Here's a picture of Ian for those of you watching on YouTube. Here's the first guy. Anybody else actually at your Tesla location put up a banner or something for you guys to sign? Did you guys do that? No? I did. They had a big one too, big white one.
Yeah, I thought that was a really nice touch. And I do want to give a shout out to the whole staff at Tesla Montreal. Oh my God, were they ever amazing. Like during the days while we were, camping out, wide open doors, whatever you guys want, help yourself to the refreshments and everything in the lounge room and, come in, warm up, charge your stuff, whatever you need to do. They were utterly fantastic. I just remember at the time, Christian, who was the manager at the time, showing up at the front door. He'd been there since 6 a.m. and he knew there was like a couple of dozen people outside, but he didn't really click. So I remember he showing up at the door with like 2 dozen donuts or something. And then he looks outside and it was like, he had this, we're going to need a bigger boat moment. He was completely blown away. He had no clue what was going on outside.
That's pretty crazy.
Oh, it was funny.
Awesome.
Just to piggyback off of that for a second to kind of bring it full circle, just something that I feel like this doesn't really happen anymore because the Model 3 is so just sort of volume produced and everybody kind of knows about it now. But my delivery day was at the Fremont Delivery Hub because they used to do factory deliveries, but they stopped doing that, I think, just for logistics and space. And so they moved over across the freeway, just like a couple miles, to another building where with a big parking lot where they could just deliver cars. And my delivery day was right when production ramped. Because remember, they were waiting to build the dual motors and the performance models until they hit volume production. They didn't want to introduce any complications in the production line until they were cranking out cars. And so I just remember, just piggybacking off of what Ian said about that kind of just friendliness and energy of the Tesla staff. When I went over for my delivery, it was later the appointment was for later in the afternoon, like 3:30 or 4 or something. But just getting there, they were running way behind. It was packed. It was a Sunday. But the energy, like there were so many people there, and it was like, I think Trevor, you mentioned this a few minutes ago. It really was like the closest thing that Tesla loving adults had gotten to a childlike Christmas morning moment since, in their entire adult lives, because just everybody in there was just like so excited to take delivery, because at that point everybody had been waiting for 2 years. Nobody at that point had just like, oh, I ordered this last week and got a VIN and here I am. Like everyone had been waiting for so long, and just that's a I wish other people, I mean, I don't wish for Tesla to have 2-year wait lists anymore, but no. I do wish that other Tesla owners could experience that like anticipatory energy, because it really was a special thing that I'm grateful to have gotten to be a part of.
It definitely feels different today than it did in the past. I mean, we were excited about the Cybertruck, and that's obviously my next car, and I'm really looking forward to that. But it just doesn't have that same feel, Yeah, I'm excited about it and stuff, but it's not that like, oh, we've never seen this thing, and well, I mean, we didn't see the Cybertruck either, but. Yeah, the Model 3 was just special days. I mean, even for me starting, everything that I'm doing and stuff, it was very different back then than it is today. So I'm with you on that. Eric, I want to hear from you. What was your experience like waiting and ordering your car?
Well, first, I want to say that I'll feel that sense of long waiting and finally not having to wait anymore when Black Widow comes out this year. It's been since 2019 since
Dune. I'm waiting for Dune.
Oh my gosh. Matrix 4 also coming out. My experience. So I think I've recalled this story before on the show, but obviously I'll just recall it now with in such spotlight. So in 2016, it was March 30th. And I was knowing I was going to get up early and go to the Boca Town Center Mall. And I was living in Delray Beach at the time. So the drive was, 20-ish minutes to get from point A to point B. And my anticipation was to get there early in the morning. I mean, I figured I'd get up around 5:30, 6 o'clock, get dressed, head to the mall. And I wouldn't expect to be in a line of 200 people. So I laid down to sleep. It's almost like when you're a kid and you realize you're going to Disney the next day. Yeah. You're so excited, you're amped up, you really kind of can't sleep. So I finally was able to get my brain to shut off around 11:30 on that night. Well, about an hour-ish later, I wake up and just that feeling of you're late for school, right? And I look at my watch and I realize what time it is. And I'm like, if I fall asleep now, there's a good chance I'm not going to wake up on time. That I'm going to sleep through my alarm and miss the entire reservation spot. So I said, the heck with this. I'm just going to get dressed. I'm going to sneak out and I'm going to go over to the mall. So I drive to the mall and I'm parking there. And within 30 seconds, another car parks like in the next row over. And I'm like, oh, hell no. so
it's on.
I don't make a mad dash to the door, but I get out. I kind of like survey the landscape to see who else might be here. And I go to the entryway for the mall and I just stand there and wait. Now, I was not like Ian. I didn't pack for a monsoon. I did not pack for an avalanche. I simply just packed my wallet. I had no snacks. I had no water. I was just like a man on an island. So I'm there, and the guy comes up behind me, and I'm very personable. If you guys have been to like our EV&T events and stuff like that, if you come talk to me, I'll talk to you. So the guy comes up behind me, and he's not saying a word for about 10 minutes. First is, are you here for the Model 3? So
no, I just come here at midnight randomly.
So you guys know me well enough, and our audience has listened to more than one episode, knows me. I said, no, I'm here for the iPhone 6. So that was hilarious. So then very quickly, within an hour's time, people were lining up behind us. And, oh my God, you're here for the, oh my God, what time did you get here? What time did you get? Oh my God, what are you? So then there was a guy who tried to sneak in the mall. through a service entrance, and then security finds him and then kicks him out. And we were attentive. We see him park. We see him get in. So we know what time he got there. It was about 3 a.m. And he tried to claim that he was there first. And everyone in line, like before even I said anything, they guys were like, hell no, man. This guy was first. He was here 2 hours before you. Get the hell out of here. So anyway, so it's around 9-ish in the morning now. We're fast forwarding. I'm just standing up the whole time. So about 9-ish in the morning, mall security lets us in because it's us and the mall walkers. You know, the mall walkers here in Florida, they're the older folks who like to put on their jogging suits and go leave their homes to go to a mall and walk indoors for a few hours. Yeah, that's Florida for you. If you guys are old enough, you might be able to join the club. So we're finally getting inside, and there's no stanchions yet, or as Ian says, the bank teller line barriers. So I get in line, and I'm right there by the gate, or the glass doors for Tesla, and I see the showroom, and there's not a soul to be seen, right? So I'm like, is this a joke? Are we being punked right now? Like, you know? Mm-hmm. So I'm waiting and waiting and waiting. And I'm being interviewed by Nick Howe, who wrote the guide for Model S owners.
News from the front.
News from the front. So I got interviewed by him. And there was a lot of, I had some friends who ended up showing up later on. But by the time I left, I'll get to my reservation in just a second. But by the time I left, I then see these long lines of people that I didn't know were behind me. And count when I was walking out, it probably was about 200 and some odd people waiting in line. So a guy comes out from Tesla right before 10 o'clock. He just said, you guys ready? And everyone's like, oh my God, yes. So he looks to me and goes, you're first. You excited? And I was like, yeah. I mean, I've been waiting in line for like almost 10 hours now. So doors open. I calmly get inside. I get taken to the very back of the showroom where they have like the nice white lounge chairs and the big screen. And it was kind of like what Ryan said. It was like 3-4 minutes. Credit card goes in, $1,000. Thank you so much. Congratulations. And I just leave. And it's one of those weird things where if you've ever done like concert tickets or a Run Disney event or something like that, you're just at your computer just refreshing and refreshing and refreshing, or even like now for COVID, you're just constantly refreshing, hoping you get your spot. Well, it was over. It's almost as if I had gotten on a date with a celebrity and I'm leaving dinner. I'm going, that's it, right? Like you just like the hype was so great, but now it's like, okay, you have my $1,000 and now you're just waiting another, 9-12 hours to see the reveal. And they were late getting off. And then finally the car comes out. I'm seeing it on the live stream. And I'm just like, I remember turning to my ex and I'm like, yep, they're keeping my $1,000. And and then it was a long wait. I was not like Ryan. I didn't want performance. I didn't want to have to go with the creme de la creme. I went with long range rear wheel drive and was able to take delivery of my car April 27th. So it'll be nearly a month from now when I took my car back in 2018. Excellent. Yeah, in the early days. And you and your wife were the first to call me that day when I got my reservation, or I'm sorry, when I confirmed my purchase, and then when I got my car. So, snooping around.
Good times, good times. FineLab has a line of protective coatings that were engineered to protect your Tesla's paint, leather, carpet, plastic, and wheels, effectively blocking all those UV rays and environmental factors before they ever get to ruin your brand new baby. FineLab offers a complete line of car care products and ceramic coatings for both the do-it-yourselfer and professional detailers. Did we mention we also have the world's first self-healing coating? Check us out at finelab.com, that's spelled F-E-Y-N-L-A-B, to see the science behind the self-healing. Check out our product catalog and click Contact Us for a free quote from a certified installer in your area. FineLab and Tesla. We were meant for each other. All right. Well, last but not least, we want to hear from Kenneth Bokor. Now, for those of you guys probably remember back in the early days of Model 3, Ken and I were doing a show called Model 3 Owners Club Show. And then things changed and rebranded and went different ways. So I wanted to get Ken back on and talk about his experience. And, of course, maybe we can reminisce about the early days of waiting for a Model 3, which, oh, God, that almost felt like interminable. All right, Ken, take it away.
Well, I waited almost 5 years for my Model 3 when I finally got it, but
Ken holds the record.
Yeah, I guess so. It was a different experience for me than what you have all described, because I did not go to any stores to stand in line to make a reservation. I was following the news releases, the announcements. I had only just a few months prior to that, in the late part of 2015, found out about the EV marketplace, and it was through the local newspapers when I read an article about some, cash for cars, like the government's giving you some incentives. What's this? Save $10,000 on a car or something. So I started getting interested in EVs and following it, and of course, saw when Elon was going to do the reveal for the Model 3, and I said, well, if Tesla comes out, because they're great cars, but if they come out with something affordable, I think I can make the jump to it, because I'm a big believer in electricity and environment and all that stuff. So I had basically been waiting for the reveal to happen, and in fact, I didn't even watch it live because I was on a plane at 6 in the morning on April 1st to the U.S. on that Friday morning. So I needed to sleep because I had to pack, then get some sleep, and then get to the airport here about 4 in the morning-ish or something to go through customs and all that stuff, and to get on my 6 o'clock flight out of Toronto. So I actually watched the reveal after the fact. I didn't see any news or anything about it because I slept through it, literally, and watched it at about 4:35 in the morning while I was sitting at the gate waiting, for the gate to open. And same sentiments, I think, that you said, Ryan, and Trevor and Ian and Eric. I mean, when I saw the Model 3 come out, especially that silver one, really still resonates with me as well, on the white interior. But they were all gorgeous. I said, wow, that's just fantastic. What kind of specs? And when he went into the specs, and I said, wow, that's great range. And what's the price? 35 grand. Are you kidding me? Do the math. Okay, it's like 40 something Canadian. That's not bad, by comparison. And yeah, it was anticlimactic. I did the online reservation right after I watched the reveal, and then got my email right away saying, here's your reservation. Mm-hmm. So I had that, and kind of, said, okay, great. Now what? And, I think, Trevor, that I started to, as everybody does, get into the internet to follow as much information that I can, and stumble on Trevor's forum, and, the rest is kind of history for us. But for me, it was my starting journey to the EV, a roadway that I'm still on today, that I'm still continuing that journey through my iteration of I ended up not getting a Model 3 originally. I canceled my reservation because when I was looking for the base, I was looking for the budget Model 3. That was always in my playbook. And with our government that was going to come into power provincially, or like state government, they were getting rid of all the green programs. So we knew the clock was ticking on the incentives, which were 14 grand at the time here in Ontario. And I didn't want to lose it, and I couldn't afford the high end, and the low end wasn't coming, or the base. So I shopped around, ended up getting Lease on Leaf, so I could take advantage of that and get my feet wet into the EV marketplace for a couple of years. And then, use the equity and everything from the Leaf and my experience, and then get my Model 3 long range all-wheel drive, which I got last September. And as you folks have said, it is a pleasure to drive every time I get in it. It is a unique experience. It never gets boring, and but also it does its job, right? I don't even think about it being electric anymore. I just get in and go and do what I have to do. And I think that's the beauty of EVs nowadays, is that, and that's what we try to get across to other consumers who are thinking, is don't worry about all the charging thing and how long and this and that and efficiency and miles per watt hour. Don't worry about that. Just get in and go, and plug it in overnight, and you're ready to go the next day.
Ken, you remember in the early days when we were doing our show, and I think it was pretty much us that kind of coined the phrase that the Model 3 was really the iPhone moment of the car industry.
Yeah.
And looking back on it, that was pretty accurate in a lot of ways.
Dead accurate, Trev. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
However,
that in a presentation, actually. So I do. Yeah. Some of the folks know I'm part of the Electric Vehicle Society up here in Canada. Trevor, you are too. We're all doing a lot of public outreach, and I do have like an EV 101 talk that I do to get people, history of EVs and kind of evolution, and what's available in the Canadian marketplace and some price points and pros and cons about it. And I put that slide in there, so the iPhone moment. I have a picture of Steve Jobs with this iPhone, and then I go to the Model 3 because it was unheard of. At the reveal, right, there were already 130 some odd, 140,000 reservations sight unseen, as you said earlier, Ryan. that people were lining up for a car, and that was industry changing. That was, never mind game changing, but industry changing in the marketplace, and really woke up a sleeping giant that is now the EV industry.
The other observation too at the time is when we were doing the show, we kept hearing the same refrain 2020, 2020, 2020. Here we are 5 years later. Didn't quite work out to be 2020.
No, the skies didn't open and EVs didn't fall out of the sky last year.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm glad to see things like the Mach-E and the Taycan and now the ID3 and the ID4. However, it's been a slow ramp up for these other manufacturers to get on there.
It has.
I vividly recall, speaking of the reservations that Kenneth was talking about. Yeah, I have one of the pictures I dug out of my phone today and posted on social media. It's a shot of the stage after the event. They kept a running count, a live feed at the event. If you're just kind of milling about, and I have a picture. It's on my Twitter today of it was at like 133,000, and that. Of course, and what's funny is I vividly remember in the aftermath of that, as you guys all know, the entire rest of the industry just stuck their heads in the sand after the Model 3, and there's like, no, this isn't a thing, and they all a number of them like mock idea of reservations for a car, and you'll never build all these, and now they literally all take reservations for upcoming models.
Yeah, a lot of what Tesla's been doing straight out of the Apple playbook in a lot of ways, which is has its pros and its cons. How many of you have kept your Model 3 thank you letter from Elon?
I never got mine.
I still have it.
No,
never got it for whatever weird reason.
Mine arrived bent, but I've put it in a thing.
Yeah, I got to put mine together. It's in the storage room right next to me in this hermetically sealed, container. But I've got to present it. But no, I definitely, that was like, wow. I thought that was a very classy touch.
Yeah, that was nice.
What about the little figurine car, the model car? Diecast one.
I got a good story.
I got that one.
Do you? Yeah, I got one. Mine's red. But
mine's red.
They all seem.
I got
to
a
be,
good story
a lot
about
of them.
that. So, when I ordered my Model 3, because for those of you who've been paying attention, I didn't get a Model 3 at first. I ended up
Mr. Model 3 Owners Club didn't get. Oh my!
Neither
God.
of us.
Yeah, I know. Anyways, I went down the path, bought a Model X, kept that for a couple years, mainly because I wanted the performance Model 3, and when I was ready to buy a Tesla, it wasn't available. And I had the money to spend, and I was just coming off a lease, so I needed to get something. So I said, you know what, I'll buy a Tesla. I always admired the Model X, so I figured, you know what, I got the money, I'll buy it, and we'll see what happens. So anyways, long story short, when I ended up ordering my Model 3, which was in early August of 2019, I didn't get it for like a month. I made the classic mistake of not ordering at the end of a quarter so I could get it in time. I ordered at the start of a quarter, and, it takes a long time to get. Anyways, so I remember going down to the Tesla local showroom, and I was talking to my delivery advisor and just chatting and stuff. I was down there for some other reason, whatever, and I happened to mention to him, I said, hey, you guys still giving out those little, Model 3 gift things? And he says, oh, yeah, sure. And he had known some of my troubles because that was at the time when Tesla was doing an end of quarter push, and they were just giving anybody who walked into the showroom, all kinds of like, we'll give you free paint or a white interior or whatever you want. And here I am, I'm waiting 7 weeks and I got zilch. So I was a little, I just felt it was a little unfair.
Anyways, I run a forum. Don't you know who I am?
I didn't pull that string. But anyways, the delivery advisor knew that I was a little frustrated over the matter. So anyways, I walked in. I asked him about the little car thing because I was just curious. He says, hold on. So he goes around back and comes back out and had one of those beautiful little black Tesla bags. He says, here. So I went in my car and opened up. He gave me 4 of them. So I gave away all of them, and I kept one. I took it apart and actually painted it to match my car. So I painted the interior and painted the exterior of the car. So it's white on white.
I love how that's Canadian math. I gave away all of them, but I kept one.
Well, at a 13% tax rate, what's going on, right?
That's about right.
Just about. Anyways, that's my story about that.
Exactly. Now, I wanted to add something. I was just thinking about it today before the show that we've got to be close to the 1 million serial number. the VIN. We got to be really
well,
close.
we do
if
know
not-
the millionth Tesla
Right.
ever made was actually a Model Y. We know
Right.
that. But as far as Model 3 is concerned, oh yeah, they got to be over.
They got to be over you.
Over a
I hadn't
million
heard
for sure.
anything like when you combine China's output, or
Oh,
are
yeah.
they
Well,
running
made
different
you know,
VINs?
almost none of them in 2017. 2018 they didn't really they didn't hit like 5,000 a week until July. So yeah, if you extrapolate, yeah, that's, I mean, you're right. That's got to be
Because
pretty
mine
close.
was in the 780s back in September, so they've got to be getting up there. Oops.
Yeah, they got to be up there. It's interesting, though, because we're at the end of the quarter right now. I mean, literally April 1st is tomorrow. We don't know when they're going to release their numbers. It should be fairly quick, fairly
Probably
soon.
Friday.
Yeah.
They
You know-
better, because I'm recording Friday.
Yeah, exactly.
Please, Tesla. I need.
Are
that
you
stuff
calling us 170,000 as some other analysts are?
I don't know. I'd have to go look at like what last year's Q1 was, and I don't know. I'm
They're
just
at
sort of curious if
75 for the first
I
few
am
months.
expecting Wall Street to be unhappy because they typically are.
Typically,
with,
they always are.
at the end of a
Always.
quarter. But well, also, I mean, I will say this might be the first quarter in 8+ years
Yep.
where there's not a single Model S.
Yep. Or
I
X.
mean, there may be a couple of inventory cars, right, that they wiped off of lots, and then zero Model X too, unless it's, again, same thing, maybe an inventory
They haven't
car.
no, they will not have delivered a single one of the refreshes, even
Right.
though they've been making them for
But
a while.
they also haven't delivered any. They stopped
Production.
back on over the holidays. So the whole an entire quarter without the S or X, functionally speaking. So I expect that will not end well as far as the stock price on Monday probably.
I would
announce the
imagine there might
deliveries.
be some. I mean, you're right. It's not the new models, but I would think that some of the ones that were built before production ceased in December would have delivered early in this quarter. So you might see like very tiny numbers.
minuscule number,
Yeah,
just
Right.
like
just
I
carry
mean,
over.
it may
a
be maybe
three-figure number at the most, probably.
right, a few hundred, if that, between the two vehicles combined, not even
Yeah.
1,000.
Yeah. Model 3 and Model Y have basically been carrying Tesla throughout this whole quarter. As far as delivery numbers are concerned, well, the outlier really here is China, right? Because they might have really ramped up Shanghai to take off some of the slack and stuff, because I know the demand is still really, really strong in China.
And the Y has been delivering.
yeah, there's
Started
so many of them.
slow up, but it's there, it's going. So
Yeah, I'm
But if
seeing
you
a
have
lot of
if
Ys.
you have two cars being delivered and you hit 6 figures in deliveries, that's an astounding thing to do with just two models.
Yeah. Any thoughts on the current status of the Model 3 in terms of, I mean, we just saw a refresh a few months ago, fairly significant amount of refreshes. You got the heat pump now, they got the power liftgate, which is obviously one of the things that people were always wishing that the Model 3 had right from the beginning.
Still no air suspension, which I was right about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I really like my Model 3 just the way it is. I mean, I have a lot of add-ons and stuff on it at this point, so I have no desire to trade it in or switch it or whatever. I got a lot of equity in the car too, so I don't know. Anybody have a desire to trade anything in? I know, Eric, you don't. I mean, take this car off my dirty, my cold dead hands.
Right.
well, to your point though, Trevor, I mean, the Model 3 in a what is clearly, this is the intention, it's there to financially stabilize the company. That's the whole point of it, and to forward their mission and their movement. But it is really the first time it's like the longest in Tesla history that a car has ever gone without like really materially evolving. Like, because the Model S, I mean the X too, but the S every year would just get better in some fundamental way. I mean, we started with the P85, and there was the P85 Plus, and a year or so later, the P85D, dual motor, all-wheel drive, and the performance that brought changed things in a big way. We went to the P90D real quick. The P100D even was not too long after that, and then the range just kept going as the Raven refresh, and now the full-on interior refresh and the new Model S. But whereas the Model 3, the range has gone up as they've made some efficiency and battery advancements, but like my 2018 one of the first performance Model 3s. If you buy the exact same car today, a red exterior, white interior performance Model 3, it's not really any better than my car. Other than like you get the power lift gate now on the trunk, and I guess, you know, a little bit better performance in cold weather with the heat pump, but they've really like they have not done the sort of typical Tesla thing of just constantly getting so much better so quickly that if you buy one 3 months later, you're getting one that's like materially better than the one that your neighbor bought 3 months ago.
Yeah, I think the biggest improvement really on the Model 3, you know, especially from the early days, because Ken and I had seen one of the very, very early VINs. Like we're talking like 250, really early VINs.
Up, yeah.
What was the software and how much the software had improved. You know, we were very fortunate to get our hands on an early car and doing a whole inside, you know, review. The one thing that we didn't show, of course, we cut out was all the crashes that it was having. It crashed a lot.
Well, even I'll add on that. Some other Tesla employee friends of mine had took delivery of it was a 3-digit VIN, right? It was an early car, employee car, and in the beginning of November of 2017, they reached out and they were like, "We'll come by. Do you want to drive it?" And I mean, this was like a dream come true because I've been waiting so long for this thing. Mm-hmm. And back then, that was the early days still of Tesla's autopilot after they'd moved off of Mobileye, and it sucked at that point in time. Like, and I don't say that lightly, but I took it. We drove across the Golden Gate Bridge into the North Bay, and there's it's just like a 65 mile an hour speed limit, curvy freeway, and at speed the autopilot couldn't handle the curves. At that point in time, it could not hold the curves. So it's really come an incredibly long way on the software side.
Yeah,
it's
I agree
really
with you
amazing.
100%. I mean, I had a Model X at the time that had hardware 2.5 in it with the new autopilot stuff, and it was really bad. I mean, when we first got the lane change, it was so aggressive. And anyways, but yeah, it's improved considerably. I mean, Ryan, you don't have FSD yet on the test, the beta thing?
I do not. Okay. Yeah, I'm one of the many waiting for the button.
Yeah, same with us. So, remains to be seen whether I get that eventually. We seem to be second cousins to everybody, but
I know we're going to lose Ryan in just a few minutes. Yep. I just wanted to get in one question, Ryan. What all your experiences since you've had the car, what's been your favorite moment that stands out since you've actually had it? One thing, if you can think of.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, that's a great question. I mean,
you've had it on the track.
The drag strip once, which was super fun. That was a thrill. I do want to get like professional track instruction before because I can't break that car because it's the most expensive thing I own. But like, honestly, like this sounds dumb. Not going to gas stations anymore is seriously the best thing because, and I'm not trying to be like this, like EV, it's like the South Park episode in San Francisco where all the Prius drivers are sniffing glasses of their own farts, which is a classic episode and totally on point for San Francisco, by the way. I say as a San Francisco resident, it is. Yeah. Anyway, that's another show, but it really is like, I mean, in the pandemic, it's only heightened my gratitude for not having to do that because I have asthma. I've been like being extra kind of crazy and careful about the pandemic as much as I can, but it really is just like, I love never having to worry about it. Like it's just, you just get in the car in the morning and it's ready to go. And that is probably the best. I mean, I use autopilot every single day. I bought enhanced autopilot with my car for $5,000 and I did add the $3,000 full self-driving later. I feel like I've completely gotten my money's worth already. In all honesty, I know I totally get the whole, like, I get people's hesitancy at 10 grand. That's a tall order for what's there now. But like, it's on the freeway. It's just like, I turn it on every single day, every single time I'm out. And yeah, it's really just a phenomenal piece of technology that I mean, I will never go back. I mean, maybe someday some other manufacturer will make something better, but you couldn't, you really, like, short of a nostalgia purchase of buying another DeLorean someday, as like, if I ever had the space for it and the disposable income. But yeah, you really couldn't pay me to go back to a gas car. That's how good Teslas are at being like 21st century cars. They're just they're just incredible to me.
It's funny. I'm with you on the gas thing. I mean, I pass a gas station, I look at the price and go, "Oh, that's what it costs today." Okay.
It's kind of like when you transition from when I went from like DOS and Windows all those years, and I'm thinking, oh, how easy it is to use a computer, and then I went to Mac, and I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? And you can't see yourself going back to that, and you see friends who are still using DOS, and you're like, what are you doing? Do you not know that this other thing exists? Get a hold of your life. And you know, and I will tell you, like, the filth of pumps, like, you always leave wanting to wash your hands and clean your hands. It is one of the, like, other than currency, it's one of the most disgusting things you can make contact with every day. And I to Trevor's point, I never think about what the cost of gas is. Like, if I'm at an intersection where I'm stopped and I'm looking around, I'll turn over and see, oh, gas is $2.69 nowadays. Wow, that seems expensive. Like, I don't even consciously think about that anymore.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for having me. I hate
Thank
to
you, Ryan.
duck and run in the middle of the show, but this was fun. Happy 100th episode and happy 5th anniversary of the Model 3.
Thank you,
I'll
my
see you guys
friend.
soon.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks so much, man.
And then there were 4.
Well, we're always very appreciative of Ryan's time for joining in on the podcast and stuff. It's always nice to hear from him. He's a super busy guy.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I want to take this moment now that Ryan's gone, because you guys were talking about specifically Trevor and with Ken about the early iterations of your show, and I got to tell you, I think we tend to underestimate just how invaluable that was to Tesla as a whole, but also just to the community you've helped cultivate. I'm someone who, and I mentioned this on our Clubhouse discussion earlier today, that by the time I went to take delivery of my car in April 2018, there was not any single thing I could think about at delivery day that I didn't already know. And I remember my delivery specialist was saying, do you have any questions? I'm like, oh, I know how to set up my profile. I know how to establish my key card. Like, everything that I thought I needed to know heading into that experience, I pretty much already knew thanks to the two of you. And I would imagine that countless numbers of people who were not forum subscribers, who weren't actively scouring all this information the way they were learning about the vehicle through your YouTube channel and watching you two do your show. So I just want to say, on a day like today, I know I would not be as informed as I was if it wasn't for your videos. And I think all of us still are much indebted in gratitude for what you guys helped cultivate and continue to do, which is support the EV community as a whole.
Well, thank you. I apprate that.
Thank you. Yeah.
We certainly didn't feel that way at the time. We were in the same boat as everybody else. Just like, I'm so excited about this car. Who can I talk to about? Well, that's
Real,
the camera just happens to be rolling, right?
It really goes to Trevor's inside source at Tesla, but that's another story. That person.
But still, like you mentioned, like being one of the first to have in Canada, one of the first to be able to do a full walk around of the car, and that meant a lot for people here in the U.S. who still had not sight unseen. I mean, we knew that. I mean, this is something I want to talk about with Ryan before we left, which is we knew that reservations started globally way over there in the Pan Pacific region, and then worked its way westward. But deliveries were in the reverse, which is if you lived in California, you were the last to reserve, but the first to get deliveries. And so I was someone who, you know, while I waited in line at Bokor, I knew in my mind I'm 2 years away from seeing this car in person. And to have seen you guys go through the walker through, that was so immensely important because it was able to give us, like, here's not a prototype. Here's the actual car. And your tape measures out. You're measuring everything. I'm like, that's got a lot of storage. Oh my God, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
God, Ken's legs are really sexy. So it was all this really cool stuff.
God bless you.
And that's the adult beverage speaking there.
That's right. So it was really cool to have that experience, because that then just only brought me back to the excitement of the day of the reveal, to like now realizing how tangibly close this really is. And then, you know, once I started seeing Model 3s in my area in South Florida, then I knew it was only a matter of time before I got mine. And I think it was about 2 months after I saw my first one that I ended up getting mine.
You know, we did the video because we're in the same boat as everybody else. We were just as frustrated with the lack of information. And like, we wanted to know ourselves. So when we had an opportunity to, I mean, his name is John. He lives in Texas. He was really, really nice and invited us down and says, here, you can have the car for a couple of days. Do what you want with it. And we were super grateful. So, John, if you're watching, thank you very much.
Thanks,
you're a
John.
saint.
Yeah.
You're a saint.
I saw him last year in Austin when I was down
yeah?
there, so,
Oh, he's such a really nice guy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it just scratched a niche that everybody had. And that's why I think the video did so well at the time, because nobody else had the kind of information that was out there.
And I was going to add about driving the show. I mean, really, it was the passion of what Tesla represented and what they were, you know, the reaction to the market that we saw, knowing that this is a game-changing vehicle. Yes, there's going to be other Tesla models, going to be other EVs, but what they did for the direction of the EV marketplace, even though Ryan was right, a lot of the OEMs stuck their heads in the sand for a couple more years trying to ignore it, but we all know what's going on now. So, you know, Trevor and I felt that. We knew that this was something big, right? It wasn't just a car. You know, it was something special that was going to really impact the world that we've never seen the likes of in that marketplace before. I mean, the Ford, you know, Mustang 64.5 kind of was maybe something early, you know, 60,000 or so pre-orders they got for that car, but nowhere near, you know, the electricity, pun intended, and excitement that the Model 3 brought. So that's really what kind of spurred us on. And those are really nice words that you're saying, Eric. And we do hear that from other viewers from time to time. I still get guys that email me saying, hey, you know, I watched you on the Model 3. Glad what you're doing, what everybody's doing, because it really helped to keep that momentum, you know, keep people engaged and excited about the choice that they made to put, you know, $1,000 down on a car and wait 2 years, 3 years for it, or 4 years in my case.
Yeah, since the Model 3, I mean, we've had the Model Y, but the Model Y, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, as nice of a car it is and it's doing well and stuff, it's just a smaller SUV version of a Model 3. So it's not quite as exciting as it was in the Model 3 early days. I think the one car that's got me super excited, of course, almost on the same level, is really a Cybertruck. I'd love to get my hands on an early one and just go, you know, total deep dive on that one just as much, because if you think about it, that is the next vehicle that's really going to disrupt an emerging market, which is, you know, the pickup truck market. So I'm hoping that somehow I can get a hold of one of those as soon as possible, maybe do the same thing. We'll see.
And I think on that note, I was just going to add, I think the pickup truck market is really going to substantialize the EV marketplace, because now you're hitting, you know, fleets and working class and guys that, you know, people that need pickup trucks for many reasons.
Yeah.
You're hitting those guys with you know, with Cyber and Rivian and everybody who's followed after, you know, with that, even when Ford with the F-150 comes out, that's really people are gonna say, wow, okay, EVs are real. I mean, I just watched a video this morning about the Jeep Magneto prototype, and I said, wow, I mean, I think that's going to turn the off-roading community in a positive way onto EVs because of what they offer with the torque and everything. So, I mean, again, that's going to be a game-changing marketplace that's just going to get more eyeballs and say, you know, they're real, they're here to stay. Let's get on the bandwagon.
I also started thinking about what other vehicles could eventually make their way to being fully electrified. And I think about food trucks, fire engines. I mean, there's a number of ambulances and things like that. Like, there's a number of vehicles that would certainly be justified in making their transition from diesel, or school buses, right? Like, there's a number of vehicles we think about just, you know, that largely are idle. And when they're idle, they could be charging either at their home station or at the hospitals or whatever. And so, you know, this is a good jumping point. I think the Model 3 came to fruition at a time where the world desperately needed something to not only energize people in terms of thinking about the environment and their impacts on it, but also realizing, you know, the mission that Tesla's always set, which is we're trying to get sustainability. We're trying to, you know, decarbonize the atmosphere. And a way to do that is by having a car that just makes everybody interested in some form or fashion and makes them want to go, you know what, here's my money. Let me get myself into that seat. And we preach it all the time. Butts in seats makes a big difference. I mean, there's Tesla enthusiasts who, like us, put money down without even seeing the car first. But it was because like my friend of mine who had owned a Model S, who was in line the day of the Model 3 reservation day, he had a chance to get the car, had me sit down in the Model S, and I was just like, my mind was blown in terms of the technology, which if you think back to the display at the time, this is like DOS 3.1 versus what we're seeing today, but it was still like nothing you'd ever seen before. And just riding in that car, I'm like, you don't hear anything. It's just the display was amazing, the comfort of the vehicle, everything about it. And I was just envious of that. And there are some people who want to own them because it's a status symbol. I wanted to own it because I thought it was the most innovative, most advanced vehicle in the market, period. And as someone who's an environmentally conscious person, I'm like, that to me, that's the car to get. And ever since I've had it, I still to this day will see kids and other people when I drive past them and they're crossing the crosswalk or something, will kind of do the look. And I almost want to have a sign in the front of my windshield that says, yeah, it's a Tesla.
Yeah, that's a great point. So many out there, but people still do a double take. And I don't know if Elon really realized the impact that the Model 3 made. I mean, all intents purposes, it was a car to get them the financial stability that they need to get to where they are now.
I was just about to say that without the Model 3, Tesla most likely would not exist today. They would be out of business. It saved their bacon, literally.
Yeah. And the impact that it had beyond just the financial benefits to make Tesla the strong company they are. I don't think he realized it. And obviously, it does, as you said, Eric, meet their mission statement of sustainable transportation and furthering that. But really, a lot of people don't realize that iPhone moment. It really is that pivotal of a vehicle. And when you look back 20, 30, 40 years in history, going to have to point to the Model 3 from an EV standpoint, as that's where it really started. There were others out there, yes. They were doing some good things, but this is where it started.
To draw another parallel back to Apple again, and just because that's what we're
because we can.
See, the Model 3 was the iPhone moment of the car industry to say, okay, look, electric vehicles are here to stay. It's this and that and the other thing. But at the same time, it was also like the iMac from 1998. Apple almost went out of business, and the iMac was the thing that saved them from bankruptcy, bought them a number of years till they got their operating system, because at the same time they had bought a new operating system, and that bought them lots of time, to get back on their financial feet and stuff. And of course, out of that came the iPod, which was the jumpstart of Apple's climb to record profits, of course, which still happen to this day. So it's very important to remember that the Model 3 really is a financial boon to Tesla. It wasn't always that way. They still were struggling financially until they finally got things going. But now that they're on solid ground, it allowed them the breathing space to actually continue on with the other projects that they have. We know we have Semi coming. The Roadster to a little lesser extent. Cybertruck's the big one. And, of course, the fabled $25,000 car, which probably see sometime next year.
Tesla Model 2 or something?
No, it's not going to be called Model 2. They're done with the whole model thing.
They're done with the model thing.
They're done with it. Ian, you want to say something?
Yeah, I was kind of on board with everybody else when in 2016, especially working with OEMs myself, I thought I could just see it. I could picture in my mind when I saw the reservation numbers, the day after the reveal, that OEMs across the world must have been scrambling to the drawing boards, like completely freaking out, like, oh my God, this is way bigger than we anticipated. And then, of course, for about 2 years, we didn't see that, right? And it took me a while but what I realize now, it happened in retrospect, and I've heard some whispers that this is actually true, is they didn't believe that Tesla could pull it off. They knew how hard it was going to be, and they were absolutely convinced it was going to sink them. And we know how close it came. I mean, where they were down to 9 weeks, I think, of cash, liquid cash that they had from an operational standpoint at one point. I mean, that's how close they cut it. So it's really sad that the other OEMs just said, wait, they're not going to pull this off.
Probably behaved a lot like BlackBerry, right? Oh, we can't believe a computer company is going to come in and do a cell phone thing, right? Well, look what happened.
Yeah. So, they cost themselves at least 2 years. That's why they're so far behind, because they figured this was going to belly flop. It would take it out. Problem solved. Okay, back to business as usual.
Mm-hmm.
Wrong.
Wrong. Exactly. Well,
Yep.
let me see here. What else can we talk about? Well, it is our 100th episode. So, yeah.
I know, that's awesome.
Who'd have thought that we'd be doing 100 episodes of this damn thing?
I know when you told me earlier, I'm going, really, 100?
Yeah. Well, Ryan's
Sorry.
way more prolific. I mean, he's...
Yeah.
But, I mean, he has the dedication stuff. We don't have the dedication. It's just something we do just for fun.
Or the schedule sometimes.
It's a free beer.
Yeah, exactly. But we have fun, and everybody has their own little way of doing things, and we mix it up and stuff, so it's always been fun. So having said that, of course, Eric has been there right from the beginning, and we certainly appreciate your humor, your candor, your rants, which were infamous, of course, and of course,
Epic.
Eric is responsible for 90+% of the show titles, so I don't know what the hell we're going to do after he's gone for show
You can
titles.
just text me every once in a while. I can just throw in some stuff like we discussed this. What are your thoughts? And I'll just text a few ideas.
Yeah,
back.
that's good.
Well, I know I espoused about this on episode 99 in our last episode, and I am forever grateful. For those who don't know, I came to know Trevor and his wife Beverly when they were down for, I think it was a second Cars and Coffee event a few years ago, and it was interesting because a lot of the things I know today didn't come to fruition yet, but they came as a result of that experience. And being the kind Canadians that they are, they were so welcoming and gracious in my hometown, much less going to their place. And we befriended ourselves very quickly, and the rest is history. And I will tell you that when Trevor approached me to do the show, having seen Ken and Trevor's videos, I kind of thought to myself, why in the living hell is he asking me to be a part of this thing? I don't have the knowledge. I don't have the tie-ins. I certainly don't have the gravitas these guys do. I'm
No, but it was your personality, man.
Yeah, it's my dickishness. I understand.
And your legs, too.
And at least you had the car.
Yes,
He owned a Tesla.
that's right. So it was dusk, and I was as embarrassed about it then as I am today, because we've done nearly 100 shows together, and I'm sorry that our good friend Michael Bodner could not make it tonight.
Oh,
He was a good part of that. He and I have lost touch over the years. So Michael, if you're hearing this, I love you dearly. I hope you, Jaina, the girls are all doing fantastic. Miss you, bud. Raphael's been a part of this journey. It's just Nutmeg. Hello, Nutmeg. If you're watching this on YouTube, Nutmeg's popped in. If you're on the podcast, as always, sucks to be you. So I did not think we'd ever hit 100 shows. I've had like weird lighting. I've been in different backgrounds. I mean, most of now I have a treadmill or a bike behind me. I've moved around a number of times. So I am forever grateful for this. And again, for those who've been asking, don't worry, I'm not leaving in perpetuity. This is just more of I'm not going to be a regular anymore. My 9 to 5, 7 day a week job already consumes much of my Tesla brain power. So to talk shop with these guys every week is sort of weighing on me for a bit. I love it. This is certainly a reprieve from everything that's been going on. But I am forever grateful, and you've expounded so much knowledge onto me as I have onto you. You've expanded my reach, my audience. You've helped me reach 8,000 supercharging credits. Trevor, don't even talk about your number or I'll slap you.
I don't use them.
I know you don't. No, we're not using them, but I do hope. Honestly, I do hope to be able to visit Canada this summer. I've got my first vaccination shot yesterday.
Yay!
So I am now
Congrats.
halfway through this, and Canada, if you're listening, whatever documentation you need, just let me know. Reach out to me. Find me on Twitter, ECFix. Just please tell me what I need to bring, and I'll make sure I bring it.
It's okay. Trevor and I know this tunnel in Quebec.
Yeah, I'll bring. You want to bring some
Well, yeah.
American food? I'll bring some American food. You want some Arby's? What do you like? What do you want? The meats. I don't know. What do you want from me?
In and out.
You
in
want
and out.
you want
In and
milk
out,
in a
in and
jug
out.
versus in a bag? I got milk in jugs. I'll bring some milk. What do you want? You want us to bring the imperial measuring system? I'll bring it with us. It's
No,
fine.
keep that. We're already kind of a mixed bag up here as far as
We're
that's
already
concerned.
messed up. We don't need that again. Yeah.
No, listen, we really appreciate you, buddy. I mean, you're always
Thank
welcome
you.
on the show. We've always enjoyed your company. It's always been fun. It's always fun when you get a little drink in you too, because it loosens you up. It's always fun.
Oh yeah. I was talking to the guys before the show because I walked into our recording studio and I had 2 drinks in. So if you're watching this on YouTube, I have 2 different glasses.
Yep.
In one of the glasses, which is now empty, I had a friend of mine does home brews. I had a homebrew cider that was about 8% alcohol by volume. And now I'm drinking, which is almost empty. This is all I have left. This is a gluten-free beer because I suffer from celiac. Not that you give a crap, but this is a beer from a brewery called Greens, which is a Belgian company, and they make several different kinds of ales. I'm big on IPAs and that sort of thing. So this is I'm into hops. I like hops, and I used to drink really good stuff before I found out that I had celiac. So I will go now into like my local liquor store and just have like a sad face half the time, like that beer is so delicious. So, but here's to not dying.
Yes, excellent. Well, I think that's about it for tonight. I want to say thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I know that your time is valuable and stuff, but I thought it was important to get a bunch of the OG crowd as much as I could back into the show to talk about the 100th episode, of course, and also celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Model 3 reveal. I think the world's better for it. Not so much on our show part, but on the Model 3. And big thank you, Ken, for joining us, of course.
Thank you for having me.
Early
it's a pleasure, and congrats again.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, since you're our guest, where can people find you if they want to chat with you there, Ken?
EV Revolution Show on YouTube, at EV Rev Show, Twitter, and I don't know, something on Instagram, whatever. I don't do much there, so just focus on those.
There's
ones.
too many social media platforms, isn't there?
I can't get into that. I don't have enough time. I'm like Eric. There's not enough hours in the day for all that.
Right. If you guys want to know where you can find Ken, I'll put links in the show in the podcast description so you guys can go and link to it. All right, Ian, you're next. I'm going to keep Eric for last because, he's. I want to give him a little extra time. So, Ian, where can people find you?
Well, first of all, huge shout out to our man, Eric. I just want to express my personal thanks for all of the joy that you have brought me personally working with you on this show. It's been absolutely amazing, bro. I mean, I cannot tell you how many times I've almost hit the floor dying.
Oh, we've laughed so much with him.
Some of the best is unfortunately the stuff we haven't recorded. It shouldn't have been recorded, but the moments. One day we have to do a cutting room floor special. But,
do a Patreon show for the special folks.
But yes, as we bestowed upon you your new title of irregular co-host, you're going to be held to. Okay, so you're
in more ways than one. Yes.
Yes, exactly. I thought it was perfectly fitting. So we're going to hold you to that. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can find me on Twitter at Ian Pavelko is the handle. You can also find me Tesla Owners Online. The handle is Mad Hungarian. If you have any kind of technical questions pertaining perhaps to wheels, tires, or related things, I'm happy to help you out. DMs are open on Twitter as well. Happy to help anybody who's got questions in this regard. And finally, if you're looking for the legendary Evolveware, the origins of which we spoke today, you can find that at Teespring, teespring.com. It's actually now called spring.com, but if you
it works either way.
It does, exactly. You can go there and just look for Mad Hungarian Evolveware. Just put that in the search thing, and you'll come to my little shop with all the variations.
Excellent. All right, Eric, let's have it.
Well, first and foremost, if you guys listen to the show, please like, subscribe, review wherever you get your podcasts. This is the Tesla Owners Online show. It's not just about us. It's about you guys as well as the community. Make sure you go to the forum. It is 100% free. It's like TurboTax and all those things. It's free. And as Trevor pointed out today on Twitter, when we taped the show, it's Wednesday, you can sign up using your Facebook account or Google, and it's 100% free. So join the club. It's actually not a cult. It's a club. There's a difference. So with that being said, thank you so much for the time. You can find me on Twitter. Again, my handle is ECFix, ECFIX. I also have a really quirky podcast. I did not record this week. I'm very sorry. But it's called Call Me Curious. It's a 10-minute podcast because, again, we're time constrained in life. And it's an informative, trivial, educational podcast where I find random facts about the world and present them to you, 10 topics, 10 minutes. That way you can listen to it while you're taking a shower, or you can listen to it while you're making your breakfast, or listen to it while you're, helping your kid with their homework, whatever it is. 10 minutes, 10 topics. Call Me Curious. Find it wherever you get your podcasts. And last but not least, you can find me on the forum. I am a hidden icon as an Easter egg somewhere on the site. So good luck finding it. If you see it, congratulations, you win nothing.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Eric, for joining us as usual. Like I said, he's going to be an irregular guest on the show. So also, I want to mention too that I know we didn't do viewer listener questions this week. We had just too many guests on. We will return to that format on the next episode. So if you had any questions about Tesla or otherwise, just look for the form that I will post on the day of the recording and stuff, and you guys can shoot your questions. And we certainly value that, and we really appreciate all the questions. We love that interaction, but we had to skip it for this week. All right. Yeah. Well, I guess that leaves me. If you want to follow me, it's super easy. Just look for Tesla Owners Online, Twitter, forum, whatever the case may be. You know where I am. Yeah, just one of those guys, just like Beetlejuice 3 times and I pop up, right?
Google it.
That's right. Google it, guys. That's what it's for. All right. Well, that's it for tonight, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for joining, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Stay
Cheers,
safe.
everybody.
Bonsoir tout le monde.
Get your vaccines. Wear your masks.
Oh, I can't wait.